Hey, it's Nay, and welcome to Hey Nay. As promised, here's the second episode, and it is related to the previous episode, traveling and dating. The topic for this one is long distance and dating, and I'm actually glad that I'm finally doing this topic. I know there's actually a few people who've asked me to talk about this, and I haven't really done it. And the reason why I haven't done it is because um, I don't have personal experience really with it, and those individuals who I know who do, um, it was kind of hard for me to piece it together so that I'm able to say in a way that's not identifiable to them. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, um, I did ask the Hey Nay writers for questions. I didn't get any back, but that's okay because I did find a very interesting article, and that's pretty much going to be more of the focus of this episode. So, long distance and dating. Now, research terms that you should be mindful of before I read this. So, if you hear the word LDR, that's long distance relationship, and as well as PR, which means proximal relationship. So proximity, the closer you are, like you live in the same area, you're close enough together, it's not far away. Okay. I think those are the major ones that you may need to understand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the abstract, and the abstract is going to pretty much give us a whole view of the encompass of the study that was done, as well as the results. And then I'm going to talk about the results. And then that will be it. So this study was done, it was a collaboration between Adler University as well as Northwestern University and Massachusetts General Hospital. So it seems really good. It's called Health in Long Distance versus Proximal Relationships. Okay, so here is the abstract. Healthy romantic relationships are beneficial to an individual's physical and mental health. The prevalence of long distance relationships, LDRs, is increasing, yet no research has assessed whether the Marriage Health Association applies to individuals in LDRs. The present study investigated the Marriage Health Association in LDRs by comparing PR and LDR, individuals on various health and relationship indices. Using both Qualtrics and Amazon's Mechanical Turk, they designed an online survey with the total number of participants being 296 married individuals who were 21 years or older and were English speakers. Health measures included the Patient Reported Outcomes Measurement Information System, PROMIS, PROMIS-29, for those of you in the psychology world who know what that is, perceived stress scale, and substance use, diet, and exercise surveys. Relationship variables assessed included satisfaction, maintenance, relationship stress, and sex. Overall, results were mixed, with no clear relationship arrangement relating to better health or relationship variable ratings. Relationship satisfaction did not differ across groups. However, individuals in PRs reported better maintenance, higher sexual frequency, and lower relationship stress. In terms of health, LDR individuals reported better health on several indices: overall scores, lower anxiety, depression, and fatigue subscale scores, and better diet/exercise behaviors. PR individuals reported lower individual stress levels, better medication adherence, and higher physical functioning scores than their LDR counterparts. Regression analysis indicated being in a LDR predicted more individual and relationship stress, but simultaneously better diet and exercise behaviors. Interesting. This study challenges the popular notion that health and happiness in a relationship stem from partner proximity and provides potential points of intervention to improve relationship satisfaction and health for individuals in both PRs and LDRs. So I hope that makes sense. So what was being said, if I'm gonna just sort of clarify for some of you, so there is no statistical difference really between LDRs and PRs, long distance relationship and proximal relationships. So essentially, long distance relationships and non-long distance relationships, and which I thought was interesting. Um, but they did say that PRs um, reported, they said better maintenance, higher sexual frequency, and lower relationship stress, which makes sense. Um, Better maintenance, of course, because if there's an issue, you can deal with the issue right away. You kind of have no choice but to deal with it right away. Unlike if you're further apart, you don't have to talk. You don't really talk to each other, as quickly as you would if you were right next to each other. So that makes sense. Higher sexual frequency, again, that makes a lot more sense too because you're in the same area compared to not being in the same area. And then lower relationship stress, which means you're not really wondering about the relationship or the status of it or the issues that you may have had with each other may have caused, confrontation or conflict. So if you got into a fight, if you got into a big fight and you're just like, I don't even know what's going on here anymore. If you were in the same area, proximally, then, you may have more of an idea of that, hey, yeah, you guys are still good. Although she's upset with me, she still made me breakfast, or that means that she still cares. Like you get the signs more. You see more of the signs. If it's long distance, you're sort of left just thinking on your own. Like, are we still together? Does she still care for me? What's next? What should I do? What did I do wrong? You're stressing a little bit more about the relationship in longer distance in the longer distance. But they said that LDRs, long distance relationships, reported better health, as in like lower anxiety, depression, and fatigue, and they had better diet/exercise behaviors. And I thought that was interesting. The only thing that would make sense to me in my head so far would be because of the independence, because you are solely relying on yourself, you're able to monitor yourself a lot more. So, when you're in a relationship with a person and you're around them a lot, you tend to compromise certain habits for the other. So, typically you may eat this all the time, but because your partner eats this, you may eat that too. Or because you and your partner typically only have, the morning together, you're not going to exercise in the morning. But if you're away, I can see you're going to go back to your old routine and exercise in the morning again. So, I mean, I can see that, and I think that is really cool. And yeah, I think that is very interesting because, um, you know, the only thing that I would question about that is when it comes to the the anxiety, and depression. Why is that low? Um, and I'm going based off the abstract, the information that you know. So I don't want to go. But if you look more into the article, I'm sure it explains everything. But yeah, because I would think you would be a little bit more anxious and you know what, maybe not as depressed because you are in a new environment. You are probably possibly doing new things. You may be, especially if you're traveling, based on like what we did. So if you're traveling, like we talked about last episode, if you're traveling, then you're probably having a new experiences, new things, blah, blah, blah. But I guess you're also not depressed because you're in that specific area for a reason. You know what I mean? You're either there because of work, family, your home. You don't want to leave. So, like, you have things that are making you stay, like keeping you to stay. So that can sort of, you know, counter depression. So that does make sense. Anxiety, I'm not sure. I believe that one person would be a little bit more anxious in a long distance relationship. So that's a cool thing to know that that's not necessarily true. But again, the major takeaway from this is that there is no real statistical difference between long distance relationships and non long distance relationships. So, in other words, what that means is that for those of you who always ask the infamous question, does long distance relationships work? We still don't really have the research to support that. But I would make a conjecture that it's up to you. You got to put the work in. You know, you got to put the work in. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but you have to put the work in. You know, if you care for this person as much as you say you do, then you will put the work in. And I also believe that long distance is a status. You know, it's not a permanent thing. It's supposed to be temporary. So if you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with this person, then eventually at some point you won't always be away from each other. So I do think it could work. I do think it could work. I just think that it is a lot of work to put into a relationship. And if for any of you who are in those experiences and, you know, you want to know more, that's what you need to know. You have to put in a lot of work. And it is hard to know how your partner is feeling or how they're reacting to some of the things that you say because you're not physically there. So you have to really be well adjusted. And I also believe you need to be in a good place in your relationship before being apart. So I don't recommend. So let me clarify. I wouldn't suggest starting a relationship long distance because you don't really know anything. You know, there's a lot of things. There'll be a lot of pieces missing in the puzzle. But if you started proximally together and circumstances of some way, shape, or form now you are apart for an extended period of time, then I think you can definitely make it happen. I 100% believe so. Like I said, you just have to put the work in. So that's it. I don't want to talk too much. I think that was great. You guys got traveling and dating. Now you got long distance and dating. You got all this this information about when you're not necessarily right next to your significant other. And I think this information that I hope you all find useful. Okay? All right. So, like, share, subscribe, love with the heart, and I'll see you guys on our regular time on Saturday. So remember to always start your day off with a hey. Goodbye.